Hey, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us. We're glad you're here. We're going to be going over a Ren video today with a good friend of ours, Robyn, who is a therapist in the UK. She's had so many years of experience working in the social welfare system there, but also as a senior children's well-being practitioner. And she is in the process of training to become a high-intensity therapist. So she's seen the full spectrum of people's trauma and is going to have a lot of insight to offer us today, especially as we dive into Ren's lyrics, which if you know Ren, then you know there's a lot for us to cover. So we're really excited to have Ren. She comes from a musical family. She's a huge music lover, but she's also got a bend towards the metal scene. So bringing her into the Ren world is going to be really fun today. So Robyn, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so nervous. I just really hope I can do it justice.
It's going to be perfect. You've already got the locale connection with Ren since you're on the correct side of the pond to be doing this reaction.
I know that Ren only lives a couple of hours away from me.
We should pack up and do it at his house.
There you go.
Cool. Well, when you're ready, we'll dive into Sick Boi.
Thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for seeing me.
Looking at your file here, it seems there's a very apparent interplay with your emotional state and your physical body. Have you ever heard of the trauma response?
I don't think so.
Basically, our bodies can get stuck in a negative feedback loop. Our subconscious can repeat patterns from the past, which can have a pretty drastic downstream effect on our biology. Essentially, your mind is making music.
Wow.
So how's our therapy session going so far?
We're straight in, aren't we? Blinking heck. Her facial expressions are almost like insincere and also seems very robotic, which I feel like a lot of, I don't know what it's like in the US, but in the UK, that is a huge thing. Like people go to mental health services for support and find that they get the same old looped responses just over and over, and it's not a very human experience. I don't know, that's what I'm sort of getting from this.
Sick boy, bitten by a tick boy, looking for that fix boy, anabolic steroids, damn cell, poster boy, pass out, white noise, quick fix, snake oil, I'm about to break boy. Oh, what a shame, he's in pain, have another go, take another pill, here, take a couple more, let's see how you're doing in another week or so, you'll be feeling worse when the side effects will show, derealization, medical patient, losing patience with the process, walking hand in hand with Satan, complications with the medication, inflammation, dehydration, inhalation, aggravation, building up a toleration, drown, soccer, drown, soccer, drown, soccer, drown, I've been feeling like I'm drowning with my feet upon the ground, I've been screaming, I've been shouting. That
lyric, drown, 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 repeating that reminds me of an analogy that I use all the time with my clients, and it's very reminiscent in this video as well. It's so dark, it feels panicked, it feels almost manic. When it comes to trauma or any mental health need for that matter, it can feel like you're in water, sort of drowning, and you're almost panicking, trying to get out of this like pool or whatever it is. You're sort of treading water frantically, trying to get out of it. Ultimately, sometimes what we can miss is that it's the letting go of that and sort of just embracing the calm sometimes rather than frantically trying to get out. But it feels like he's on a bit of like a progression to some sort of breakdown. I don't know. I feel like something's coming.
One of the things that I really like about this video is the therapist is oversimplifying and undercaring. And so she slides the pills towards Ren and she says, here you go, see you in a couple weeks. When I'm in high intensity emotions and someone is like, see you in a couple weeks, it's like, you don't know what my today is like. I don't know if I'm going to make it through today. That moment followed by the drown sucker feels very on par for the experience when you've got all this built up and there's no help when you're reaching out.
Yeah, exactly that. I often feel like mental health, well, not feel like, I know that mental health and physical health go hand in hand. You know, mental health is physical health is mental health. But what we see is so often things are taken separately and the symptoms are treated And that's incredibly invalidating, because what we're not hearing is the mental health side of it. Like, we've got all of these physical symptoms going on. Let's just treat that, treat that, treat that. But then did he mention something about like the medication side effects need treating, and then it's just going to end up getting stuck in this loop? Incredibly invalidating.
Chatting, but I never make a sound. I've been looking for a way out, but I always seem to drown.
Is this all making sense, Ren?
Yeah, I think so.
Good. What I propose we do is we try to pinpoint the exact experiences from the past that are keeping you stuck. What can you tell me about your
Pause real
childhood?
quick.
I can't really think.
It's okay if nothing comes up right away.
Did you see that flash?
No?
Let's go back. Go back a second.
What I propose we do is we try to pinpoint the exact experiences.
Oh, that's so creepy.
I just think that's so interesting. What do you make of that image?
I suppose it's like, even the therapist in a way is wearing a mask there, right? Like, even the therapist is not authentic. I'm also wondering whether there's sort of like a bit of a psychosis element there, because it's kind of, is it Ren who's hallucinating?
Yeah. Is it Ren who's hallucinating, or the therapist who's being revealed? Have you ever had days where you show up as that kind of like robot therapist, or do you know people in, your line of work who you know to show up that way? And what do you make of that?
I actually think probably what comes into this is like a bit of imposter syndrome. When we're training, maybe there is an element of like, you should do this, you should say this. These are sort of like the key phrases and things like that. And it can sometimes feel a little bit robotic. My experience of training as well is that we have to submit videotapes. If there's therapists in the UK watching this, they will get this, but you have to submit videotapes of you meeting certain criteria in every single therapy session. That in itself feels very inauthentic, robotic. And when you then qualify, it's then about injecting your personality back in. But absolutely, there is an element of that, like just feeling very robotic sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. HeartSupport is peer support. So we sit on like one side of the line in the mental health service providing world. And as a professional, you sit on a whole different side. Are there different motivations that could cause a therapist to be robotic and not know they're turning into a villain?
I genuinely do think that most people get into this field because they genuinely care about people, and that's what they've chosen as their profession, and they've chosen that for a reason. But I think one thing that can play into it is the boundaries thing, because, and again, it's a very westernized model. It's like you can only do so much disclosure because you're taking up space, when actually the person in front of you, and what we know actually from evidence and research, is that the connection between you and your client is the most important thing. And I have found that even in my role as a wellbeing practitioner, we have a certain criteria. As I said before, we sort of work with early onset, mild to moderate difficulties. And within that criteria, I have found that when I've met somebody who's sat in front of me and they've had lots and lots of things going on and don't quite fit into that box, the conversation that we have on a human level can be the very thing that they needed and can help propel them onwards. So it doesn't matter what the criteria is. It doesn't matter what my, intervention is going to look like. All that matters in that moment for that person is the connection and feeling heard.
What we do is we try to pinpoint the exact experiences from the past that are keeping you stuck. What can you tell me about your childhood?
I can't really think.
It's okay if nothing comes up right away. What I'd like you to do is take some deep breaths with me. In and out. In and out. Good. Now tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
I feel like it's not me, it's the world that's it. We're given everything we need and we commoditize it. We consume, we destroy like we're parasitic. Science tells us that it's suicide and still we commit. I'm not sick, we are sick. We are standing on a cliff in the name of progress. We jump off the precipice. I'm not sick, I'm the virus, you're the virus, hypocrite. How can you sit there without...
Sorry, I've got chills. I've got literal chills. Wow. The reason why I pause it there, sorry, I know I'm pausing this so much, but I'm just like, there's so much to unpack.
Yes, there is.
He's thrown it away. Like, look at even just how we've paused it there. Look at the dynamic now. It's shifted. She's kind of still sitting there robotic while he's like, can you not see what I'm saying? Like, everything around me is what's sick. It's not me. And again, it brings me back to that analogy with the water, because now he's leaning in. He's gone back to his childhood and he's gone, actually, no, but wait a minute, hang on. This is not me. It's everything else that bad. And that can be really empowering. When you start to unpick things like that, it can really show you what matters to you. When you feel so wrong done and you know you can pinpoint what it is that's not sitting right with you, you can action yourself.
There's so much freedom in putting your finger on the actual source of your suffering.
Yeah, and what was that? It was looking backwards. It was going, hang on a minute, what was that moment that things started to change for me? And also, can I just say, the breath thing, take a deep breath with me, or whatever she said, it's redundant, isn't it? It's just so redundant. Like, I find that so patronizing. It's surface level. It's so surface level. It's like, oh, everything will be fine if we just take some deep breaths. No. Because it's the world around me that's the problem.
Yeah.
Why in it?
I'm not sick, I'm the virus, you're the virus, hypocrite. How can you sit there with that smile on and tell me that I'm sick boy, looking for a fix, boy. Push it down in public, quick pose for the pick, boy. Record label meetings that commodify your gift, boy. Why you so upset? Don't you wanna be a rich boy? Fuck no, industry is cutthroat. I've been doing bits by myself, swimming backstroke, walking on a tightrope, rapping with a slit throat. The way that we persist is like the ending of a bad joke. As the people evolve, we're complacent to assailants and we do what we're told. Counterintelligence, a sight to behold. Rape the earth of all resources and we bleed it for gold. And we bleed it for wealth, we bleed it for fame. But when you bleed it, can you tell me what the fuck will remain? And I bleed in myself, I bleed in my brain. While I'm bleeding, I'm the reason, cause I'm doing the same.
Wow. Oh, chills. It's so relatable. How many people can relate to that? Like trying to seek help and just getting this response and feeling unheard, and just thousands and thousands and millions of people. I'm just sort of pensive now. One thing I always say to people within the mental health system, or not just mental health system really, when like medical care in general, it's okay to advocate for yourself, because so many people go and there's this power dynamic. They just feel fobbed off. Just do this, do that, take this pill, and actually that's not what's needed. And it's so important for people, and I hope this is empowering for people who might see this. It's so important for you to offer yourself, ask questions. You're the expert on you. You're the expert on your body, what in your mind, what's going on for you, your experience, the impact of everything like that. You're the expert in that. So it shouldn't be a power dynamic. It should be an equal experience. They can offer you their expertise, but you can offer your expertise as well. And it's so important to advocate for yourself. And I feel like that was the shift here. He's gone back and forth with this therapist. And then the second he took the power, it was like, actually, no, I see it now.
My gosh, I love everything that you just said. You're the expert of your own experience, and how empowering that is, of saying like, I'm coming in and I'm not just like confused and just waiting for answers. So I'm a collaborator in this process. I have something that if I don't bring it to the table, we won't get to the right place, which is one of the strengths of this video, is it's showcasing like, hey, like I have to fight to speak my voice, to talk about my experience. Oh, so good. I want to hear your take on the ending, because it really is a twist. The therapist is like, you're the problem. And then Ren is like, the world's the problem. And then at the very end, he's like, the world's the problem, but I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah, I just feel like, again, it's a revelation, isn't it? And in CBT, we have cognitive distortions, right? One of those cognitive distortions is blaming. And what I always say is that some of these all of the cognitive distortions have a functionality to them. And it's when those cognitive distortions become too much that it then starts to take over, and impact, and then it becomes dysfunctional. This is what I'm seeing here in a way. It's like, and this is what I was meaning before about it being empowering, because the functionality of blaming can be, actually, I see the problem now, I'm seeing things a bit more clearer, and what am I going to do about it? Now I've been shown what matters to me, and I have this vision, like I'm contributing to this. What can I do about it? How can I hold myself accountable? Whereas on the other hand, it's the realization without action that's the problem. So we can just sit and stay in this loop and this cycle and not get out of it, or we can use that realization to our advantage and do something about it.
We see Ren, you know, like pointing the source externally, but then, right, what you're saying is that if we stay in that place forever, we'll never get to change. And so it has to be both. You can find something to blame, but you also have to take responsibility for your for it doesn't have to be the same thing. Like I don't have to blame myself for abuse. I don't have to blame myself for something that was wrong done to me, but I have a part in my own healing journey.
And again, like the music video in itself sort of mimics that as well, doesn't it? It's so dark. It's so relatable. People have been in that place where you can't see much around you. You know, you don't know, like your life just feels so out of control. And this is the response that you get. And it just feels like this therapist is wearing a mask, essentially.
So we have lots of viewers who have a variety of experiences, but if there is a viewer here right now who is experiencing this invalidation, like high pain and low empathy, what would you say to them?
Find your people and advocate for yourself, especially if it's in the mental health or medical system. Prepare yourself for appointments, you know, write questions down, write down your experience, the impact of things. Just remember that your experience is yours and no one can take that away from you.
Robyn, thank you so much for your analysis on Sick Boi. It has been amazing to see your therapist perspective, especially with the diversity of your experience of people who have had high support and low support, and being able to kind of speak to the whole journey and cut through all of the elements of Ren's music video. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you who have been following along this month, we've been sharing a Heal the Scene story of one of our supporters who has done something unique with the resources that they have to make a difference. I know that there are so many of you who are watching that want to get involved with the mission of improving and healing our collective music scene. And so we've interviewed 13 different people who have used different things that are at their disposal to make a difference. And so if you have wanted to think creatively about getting involved with HeartSupport, this is for you. And we want to highlight Jeremy Boyum's story today. He heard about one of our fundraisers at like 4 o'clock, and he sat after work and texted his friends for an hour and raised $1,300 just by saying, hey guys, we got to get involved with this. By being someone who rallies the people around him. He didn't have $1,300 to give, but he had lots of coworkers that he could gather and just inspire them to say, like, mental health matters. And doing it through music is an innovative way, like, let's get behind this. And he made a huge impact. So if you have a friend group or coworkers who you have relationships with, there are lots of really cool ways that you can rally a community to get behind this and make a difference for those who are struggling and might be experiencing invalidation like Ren is depicting in this video. Our job is to find those people and be support for them, be peer support, people who are human with compassion and support, and walk alongside them as they're navigating their mental health journey. So you can check out his full interview and story in the bio and the description below this video. And if you want to become a volunteer with us, to be someone who can be the human connection to others, to be someone who listens with genuine human connection and validates people in the middle of their experience, we will train you how to be an exceptional peer supporter with evidence-based practices, and it will have a huge impact on people's lives. So please click the link in the bio, in the description below, and check out our volunteer program. Go ahead and sign up for that, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you, guys.